dumbfounded at what goes on here. The corruption drips off the walls in this place. It's crazy.
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
That's what the left-wing media wants you to think. You can't handle the truth. But I'll always give you the unvarnished truth of the corruption, media bias, and downright lies you are being told by Albany today. I'm New York State Assemblyman David DiPietro. Some say I'm the conscience of Albany because I believe you, the citizens of New York, need to know the truth. Welcome to the Truth in Politics podcast and to this week's show.
Welcome back, everybody. Dave DiPietro, New York State Assemblyman here outside of Buffalo, New York. And bring the popcorn, folks. I hope you are ready for a show starting in January up in Albany in New York. I'll tell you, the worst capital in the entire country, the most corrupt capital in the entire country, the most corrupt government in the entire country. And I will be up there watching this with my popcorn and my 3D glasses, and I hope you have them also because this is going to be a lot of fun. The Trump derangement syndrome, the leftists, the Democrats, the communists, the socialists that run New York State are going crazy. I have been putting notes together just in the last 24 hours, and I could have been doing this for months, but it's out of control, folks. The state government that you're about to see in New York State is going to go ballistic, not only when we go back at the beginning of January, but on January 21st. The Democrats in New York State are already going nuts after this election, doing everything they can. They call it that they are going to Trump-proof New York State, even though New York State doesn't want to be Trump-proof. New York City might, and that's great. Give it to New York City. I have the bill to split New York City off from the rest of the state, sink over into the Atlantic, and that's great. Do whatever you want to do, but we want out of New York City. We don't want them here anymore. We want to have our own government in the rest of the state, okay? Because as soon as we get rid of New York City and the mandates that come out of that socialist swamp, the rest of this state becomes redder than Texas overnight. Jobs are flying in here, and I'm talking big $100,000 paying jobs, especially if we do fracking in the southern tier. They're talking 40,000 jobs, over $100,000. But in New York State, you can't do that because we have what's called the HEAT Act, which is the climate change, because global warming, it's not global warming anymore, it's climate change, is affecting the whole world, but mostly it's affecting New York State. Did you know that? That whole world, everything that happens, it's happening in New York State only. So we have to change every single thing we do in New York State so that tens and hundreds of thousands of people will leave here every year. And I mean that, so you know, because that's the census. Okay, we lose, in the last 30 years, we've lost over 2 million people every 10 years. That's over 100,000 people a year in the state for over 30 years. Way over that number. You can go check those numbers. What does that mean? It means every 4 years, the city the size of Buffalo leaves New York State. That's how many people. And they want to force you out now with this climate change junk. It's horrible. This is the worst. I want to read something for you. I got so much here on this. That's Liz Moran, folks. Liz Moran, as she's known. She makes 6 figures to go out and tell you about climate justice. What is climate justice? It means that we in New York State have to decarbonize and change everything we do and go to alternative energy, even if it bankrupts this state. And that's what she's advocating. And this is going to cost us so much money, but let's not even get into money. Let's just talk about you, because what happens with her going to Albany, and okay, if you look at that picture, 19 people were arrested yesterday. That's right. 19 people in Albany at the Capitol, because I don't know why. Okay, great. You've got an opinion. There's no elected officials up there, so you're running around the Capitol screaming. That's what they do. They come up there and they just scream in the halls, and it's complete idiocy. But that's what they do. And how do you get arrested when there's no one in Albany? When you're walking around a hall with nobody in it, all the doors are closed because there's no elected officials there. You gotta think this thing through to see where these people are coming from, because common sense has gone out the window with these people. Okay, there is no climate change like they're saying. What happens in New York State? Let's talk about this real quick. If everyone in New York State left and it was nothing but a green field, you shut down every home, every factory, everything that burns, that runs on electric, that runs on gas, everything was just shut down, and it was just a wasteland. Nothing here, not even the cows that flatulate. Do you know what? The greenhouse gases would still be rising in New York State. That's right. Because until these people, these morons, get through their head that China alone is 36% of the world's emission. 36% comes from China, and they're not stopping. China, I remember under Barack Obama, when he shut down 2 of the worst coal-burning plants in the United States, one in Virginia, one somewhere else. He shut them down because the emissions were so bad. Do you remember that? I do. I think it was like 2010, 9 to 10. At the same time, China was opening up 12 that had worse emissions than those 2 we shut down. Just in that 1 year. And every year they're opening up 12 to 14 new coal plants because they need the energy for their billion-plus people. So here we are in New York State putting hardships on everybody. Do you know what this plan is going to cost you, the average homeowner with an 18,000 square foot home? You probably don't. It's in I've got it right here. It's a fact. Okay. The bill would require this is from the Democrats saying this. The bill would require people to spend $40,000 retrofitting their homes to come in compliance with the HEAT Act. That's coming up in a few years, folks. This isn't 20 years down the road. You already know you can't burn wood. You can't have a gas stove as of this year, unless you go out of state to buy it. Okay? They're going to be shutting down those gas lines in a year and a half to 2 years. They're going to start shutting down private gas lines. Okay, what does that do for the farmers? Because there's not an exemption in there yet for farms that have those gas wells out in their fields. There's no exemption yet. So what do? But this is their bill. Everything going electric. And this Moran, whatever, this is what she goes around advocating along with a lot of the leftists. Okay, these aren't your average Democrats, even though more and more of these average Democrats are turning this way because they can't go against their party, because they've got Trump derangement syndrome. Donald Trump's the president. Oh my gosh, he's gonna allow more natural gas. I'm not that old that I can remember maybe 10 or 15 years ago, natural gas was the wave of the future. Natural gas was the clean energy. The cleanest energy on the planet was natural gas, literally. But not to them. Not to them. It's all about money. These people are power hungry and money hungry, and that's it. They don't care a whit about you. Hey, let's talk about, real quick, the blizzard of Christmas in 22, 2 years ago, right? 47 people died or whatever the county executive said, which is a lie, folks, because I've got all the data. It's more like 150 people died. I mean, I've had Al Robinson, the pastor on this show, whose church opened up, and they were finding bodies just in his neighborhood, in the snow, in the homes. They were stacking them in the backs of pickup trucks and on a trailer because there was no place to put them because the roads, everything was impassable. You couldn't even get through. The morgues in the Buffalo General Hospital, ECMC, and in the other, and in the county morgue were all full. That's way more than 40 people, folks. They lied right to your face about this. But I said this on the floor. I got into it with Crystal because when the report came out about 8 months later about that storm, very little known thing in the bottom of that said, if we had been all electric, instead of 100 some people dying, Justin Crystal Peoples-Stokes, Assemblywoman, Democrat leftist floor leader, over 800 to 1,000 people would have died. And when I brought that number up on the floor, you would have thought World War III started in Albany. the vitriol that came out of them. How dare I threaten, talk about those types of numbers and threaten climate change as if it wasn't real. It's true. But those were the numbers. 800 to 1,000 people would have been dead in that storm if we had been all electric. What a joke. And this is what they want to foist on you, $40,000 a home, and that's at today's prices. But when this gets enacted, it could be more. As long as you have it, as long as everyone in New York State has $40,000, $50,000, and there's enough people to actually do the work. Do you understand what I'm talking about, where there's a lot of morons up in Albany? Okay. This is no longer Republican-Democrat situation. This is communism versus individualism. This is New York City using their power because of their numbers to foist everything down our throat every single day. And as soon as we go back into Albany, they've already got these bills ready to go. What am I talking about? They're already talking about the climate change. That's why they're arrested. They are threatening Governor Hochul right now to sign some pieces of that legislation, which puts $3 billion a year for 30, 40 years, and it'll go up on the energy companies to help pay for this, because this is a $1 trillion adventure. Okay? There's no tax money in New York State. No one can afford this. No one in New York State can afford this. There's not enough money. There's nothing here in New York State to make this even partially viable. And I've been to these rallies. I've been to them, and I've seen what happens. And they want her to push it. And what do you think the energy companies are going to do? Because it happened in California. They shut down or left. What do you think they're going to do when faced with possible bankruptcy or all these mandates? They're going to get up and, maybe leave. It's going to be a nightmare. And Democrats never get past the second level of the argument, because then it goes into name calling. And I've been the victim of that as the number one conservative in New York State, fighting for you and for American principles and values. I've seen it, and I've been the victim of it for 12 years. But it doesn't matter, because these people are out of control. They're unhinged. That's just one thing they're ready to just explode on when we get back to January. Like I said, you can pop on New York State Assembly, Google it, and then hit the home page, and it's got a little button there, listen live, and you can listen. And I'm telling you, it's going to be better than a Christmas movie. Okay, you're watching Hallmark or Christmas with the Cranks. Forget it. Turn on the Assembly channel. This is going to be better than Jeff Dunham Comedy Story. Okay, this is going to be really awesome to watch. And I tell people, bring the popcorn, because it's going to be a show. That's just one. The Trump derangement syndrome. These people are just flying off the walls. I get it. I get the updates every day. You're going to have, last thing on this climate, on this thing with all the, because I've done stories to you, and I've told you before about, last 2 years, they've shut down the ice cream trucks in New York City because the Freon, or the gas coming out of the top of the ice cream truck to keep the ice cream bars cold, was polluting the environment, ruining the ozone. These 80, 90 trucks that were flying around New York City selling kids ice cream, they had to get rid of them, so they stopped those. You've heard about that. And then the pizza ovens, the wood-fired pizza ovens, they had to shut those all down because of that was ruining New York State. Okay, and things like that. These people are just bat crazy. They're unhinged. They have no common sense. They don't care. They have a religion. They don't follow God. None of them. I'm sorry. You can, as a person who's a born-again Christian, I can tell you right now, there is no God in Albany. And if there is a God, it's climate change and abortion. Those are the two leading things that those are the gods in Albany. Okay, the number one state and the number one place in the entire world for abortions, on demand, free, paid for, everything. And it's not enough. Not enough. Why do I say that? Because there's now a bill in Albany. And the governor has said, Kathy Hochul has said, if this comes to the floor, gets voted on and passes, she will sign it. It's the 3-day abortion bill. Okay, what does that mean, folks? You have a perfectly healthy girl, 8 pounds, beautiful. You have 3 days to decide whether or not you want to kill it. Do you remember the governor in Virginia, maybe it was, where said, when they had the baby and they wanted to, they couldn't abort it, so to speak, they laid it on the side they laid it over on the side. Remember that? They said, let's make it peaceful and just let it die on its own. That's coming to New York, folks, because abortion, full-term abortion, is not enough. And I'm the one that debates this every year. So let me tell you, because you get lied to all the time. The truth about what we have now in New York State about abortion is this. If a woman is having the baby, this is the truth. I've debated this every year, okay? I've got a million attorneys who will vouch for this. So don't listen to any lies that a Democrat or a leftist or a pro-choice person, because it's not pro-choice, okay? If you choose to have the baby, they hate your guts. But this is the law. The woman is on the table and has a baby, and it comes out and it's perfectly healthy. 8-pound girl crying. Doctor says, look at this beautiful baby girl. As long as it is still attached to the umbilical cord, if the woman says she does not want it, no reasons given, that's taken out of the law. So when we said, oh, she's got a headache, oh, they would never do that. Doesn't matter. There are no reasons given. If the woman says she does not want this child, the doctor immediately has to snip its neck and kill it, or he can lose his license to practice medicine in New York State. That's the law. Do you agree with it? Let me know. But that's the law in New York State. It's abortion, full-term abortion, which means abortion up to birth. Not while it's still in the canal, not while it's in the womb. When it's out of the womb, as long as it's still attached to the umbilical cord, they can kill it. So I hope you understand now, if you see this, what it means. But they want more, okay? And that's going to be coming up this year. So just get ready. Don't say I didn't tell you. We've got so much. I want to go to, boy, oh boy, where do you go to next with this stuff that they're coming up to? I could tell you a little bit about Trump and the lawsuits, but I'm sure you've heard. Okay, they've already come out. Letitia James and the attorney general and the prosecutors in New York City have said they're not going to get rid of the Trump lawsuit with Alvin Bragg, and getting rid of the lawsuit that says Stormy Daniels. Okay, that part, the hush money. Boy, well, I forget how much he gave Stormy Daniels, but didn't Clinton give like 5 times as much to 1 or 2 women, and nothing happened? But yet Trump doing something is now, but they've said they're going to push it off. They're not going to get rid of the lawsuit. They're going to put it on hold. They're going to put it on hold until 2029 when Trump gets out of office. Then they want to throw him in jail. These people. Right? But then here comes Biden. He's pardoned over 1,500 people already. That's, okay, put that in perspective. The most ever was Obama back in 2016 when he pardoned 334 approximately. And now Obama's pardoned over 1,500. And some of these people he's pardoning in the government are for crimes they might have committed, and it's going back to 2016 before Biden even got in, when Trump first ran in 2015-16. He's going all the way back and pardoning them because they know that they've done stuff illegal. They should be put in jail, and a lot of them should. And I know Trump wants to go out there and tell people that he's going to stop and be nice and play in the sandbox with these people. Let's let bygones be bygones. But I can tell you one thing right now. Grab the popcorn. Letitia James, I would be hiding under my bed if I were you. You ran on putting this guy in jail, and now he's the president again. And you've had him arrested for phony charges in New York City. How many times now? You know what? I can't wait. January 21st. My prediction, I could be totally wrong. That's just me. All right. My prediction is on January 21st, 100 trucks and 500 ICE officials roll into New York City. all around Letitia James and start rounding up every illegal alien they can, and they're going to provoke her to say one word. If she comes out and says one word against the federal government, I hope Trump has her arrested, puts her in handcuffs, and makes her do the perp walk right on TV. That's going to be so cool. Because there's one person, I can tell you right now, there's one person that Donald Trump is not going to play in the sandbox with, and that's Letitia James. Okay? She's a communist. She's a bad actor. She's a horrible attorney general. She's not up there to protect you or me. She's got a socialist agenda to make this government the biggest communist government she can, and to use and weaponize the DOJ in New York State to go after anybody who's a political enemy. And I'm one of them. But again, I'm going to tell you the truth, folks. Okay? I don't need to sit here and pontificate. I got so much stuff. I could do these podcasts for 5 hours a day and never run out of material. I'm up there on the floor and I see it. Why doesn't anybody else? I get a few of my members to come on and talk about it. Okay? But you get so many of these politicians, they want to play in the sandbox. I don't care. I really don't. You know what? I just won my reelection, if you were following, in a landslide again. But this time, with the most money going after me, okay, in a primary, it was 82% to 18% in a primary. Okay, unheard of in Erie County in Western New York. Unheard of to get those kind of numbers. Okay, but the people that support me were just passionate, and I can't thank them enough. And then in the general, I had some bat crazy liberal woman. I forget her name because she's so forget-worthy, that she, when that stupid article came out, she took the public funding, just like my Republican opponent. They each had over $100,000. And she took, 2 weeks before the election, she put an extra $50,000 of her own money into the campaign. she didn't even get 1 out of 3 votes. Okay. I took in Wyoming County, this nice little county that I have here in upstate New York, 80% to 20. Okay, I outperformed Trump by 7%. It was one of the biggest, if not the biggest county for Trump at 73% in the country. And I outperformed Donald, who gave me his endorsement. Thank God. Thank you, Donald, very much. He's a good friend of mine. And, and I will definitely be, as always, me and him think alike. But I outperformed Donald by 7 in Wyoming County, and I think 5.5 in Erie County and my other county. So it was a huge victory. Just want to let you know. So when these people come after me, that's okay. That's all right. I'm not in government for the paycheck. I'm not in government for the perks and for the getting up to Albany and and sitting around. I don't drink, I don't smoke or anything like that. So I'm a nobody in Albany, except one thing I do is I stand on the floor and I advocate for what's right. I advocate for what is right for the American people and the people in New York State, not for full-term abortion and abortion after birth, not for this climate change, which is going to take the poor and the average citizen and just, make them move out of this state because they just can't afford it anymore. Okay, because the businesses are going to close. They already are. Here's another thing. They just came in with this new refrigeration law in New York State. Let's touch on that real quick. Okay. Because what this does, I was a dry cleaner and I had to use R22 Freon for coolant for our dry cleaning machine back in the day, right? And then they outlawed that and had to retrofit it. Well, last year we had a huge press conference at this little restaurant called Chef's. It's a beautiful place in Buffalo. Rich Products, who you probably all know, Rich Products, Wegmans, Tops, Aldi's, plumbing, heating, air conditioning companies, like Carrier, the makers of these things, all these big, huge companies around the state were like, stop with this climate change, with trying to change our cooling system. This is going to kill all these different little businesses and the big businesses. So they came out, this isn't me talking, at the press conference, Tops, let's say a Tops supermarket. The average price for Tops to transition all their frozen and refrigerated goods, they have to shut their whole store down, most of it, okay? And they have to retrofit and change all this equipment to comply with this new with the new cooling stuff, which is it's a ridiculous, folks. The average cost to a top supermarket is going to be $600,000 to $1 million. Where's that money coming from? I can tell you what. Wegmans, same. Aldi's, same. All these places. The millions and millions it's going to cost Rich Products in Western New York, in Buffalo. You know, Rich's coffee creamer and all those different desserts and great things they make around the world. Don't be surprised if this happens. Rich Products just pulls up and leaves and says, thank you, Buffalo. The Rich family has grown up here generations. They love Buffalo. It's their home. We had the stadium named after it. We had the baseball diamond at one point. They've been major good citizens, but I wouldn't be surprised with this climate change if this is what happens. So I just want to give you that little note. Ready to wrap it up. There's so much more I didn't get to, and I know you want. The Amazon workers are threatening a strike. Okay, one of the reasons was if Amazon donated when they donated $1 million to Trump, that really upset a lot of the far leftists. I didn't even get to this. This is probably the worst magazine you'll ever see. It's called City and State. And can you see it? We get it. All the elected officials get it every week. It's a far left magazine out of New York City. I just throw it in the garbage. Okay, this is it's a piece of junk. But yeah, some of the stuff they put in here is just so ridiculous. It's so far left. And I wanted to get to some of these articles because every week they've got some doozies. I know you guys would, again, if you want a good laugh, that's where you go. All right, so I think we hit most of the stuff today. I want to say thank you for listening today. I just wanted to give you a quick update here. Have a great Christmas, everybody. We really, really, really is the season. After Christmas and after New Year's, things start happening. Don't get dismayed, okay? We'll find a better way to build a better mousetrap to handle some of this stuff. I just feel for the people that this could be the last straw, and then they have to leave this state, like in hundreds of thousands a year. Okay, I really don't like to see that, but I understand it. And I feel, I pray for you. I just want to say, keep the faith. Know that there's somebody else fighting for you. Never feel alone. Never, never feel like you're by yourself. Okay, that's what the left wants you to do. They like to separate you and make you feel like you're in a box by yourself, and you're not. Seriously, talk to somebody, make the phone call, and you'll find out there's a lot of people, I'd say almost the majority, feel the same way you do. Okay, they think this has gone off the rails. Okay, if you're in New York City, that's a different story, but the rest of the state just does not like what's happening here. And we're gonna get through this. So God bless you. Have a great Christmas. Jesus is the reason for the season. Okay, folks, and that's all I want to say. So we'll talk to you next time. This is Truth in Politics, only place where you're going to get the truth that happens in politics in Albany and in this country. God bless you. Have a great Christmas. We'll see you again.
You have been watching Truth in Politics with New York Assemblyman David DiPietro. Search for DiPietro for you and tune in every week on Facebook, Rumble, Twitter, YouTube, and many other internet platforms, including the Big Whack Radio Internet podcast. Thank you for listening.